Alright, my homies, I'm gonna try to do something different this time around. I'm going to try to do something where I'm gonna react to the entire thing. I'm gonna do like the games are gonna start, and I feel bad about being late with the Fenerbahce Samsung thing. And I thought just because the schedule allows it, the schedule allows it. Uh, well, it was always allowed. I'm not gonna say that I was restricted, but the sleeping schedule makes a lot more sense now. So I'm gonna try to pull through the entire thing. I'm gonna start off with reacting to what's going on here with the event, and then we're gonna kick into gear. Gonna kick into high gear and start with Group B. Today is going to be Immortals, it's going to be Longzhu, it's going to be Gigabyte Marines, it's going to be Fnatic with all that good shit. It's going to be an interesting turn of events because I still feel like any team can take games off of any team. Maybe Longzhu seems like the obvious 6-0 team here, but if you look down in history, there's been like crazy things have happened. So there's still a chance that our buddies over at Fnatic just make a complete turnaround and they pull up a 3-0. So like Korean teams have been perfect every single season at the group stage. So far, we have Samsung at 2-1, SKT at 3-0, and Longzhu at 3-0, and sure, that means a lot, that means a lot, but there's been times where SKT dropped games, there's been times where Longzhu dropped games, and maybe, I'm just saying there's a chance of a miracle today, definitely, we'll just have to wait and see. Gigabyte Marines without the cheesiness, and with like some people call it cheesiness, but I don't want to have the negative connotation of cheesiness. To me, cheese is just different, and just because it smells, it can still taste quite good. I don't know how that applies in League of Legends sense, but my point is that Gigabyte Marines dropped some new stuff, and without this new stuff, they wouldn't have their win against Fnatic. And I feel like that is the cap for Gigabyte Marines. Like, what else are they going to do? What else are they going to provide? Are they going to do anything exciting for us? I sincerely doubt it. And Immortals, on the other hand, Xmidi, I think he was pretty on point with his interview where he mentioned that, as a team, Immortals are not willing to take like bigger risks or do the plays that put them in an even more dominating position than they are to begin with. What a beautiful desk, man. What a group of nice people. These people are all great. I know them all a little bit. I know the Fish is the best, I would say, out of the all four. And, I've had the honor of working with Crumbs and Dash. And I met Azil before he became a caster. And we had Korean barbecue, and I tried boba tea for the first time with him, and he felt me. He felt me like he made me feel very welcome. I think it was together with Spawn. Spawn, the caster from Australia or Oceanic region that casts the LPL and the Oceanic Pro League, and he made me feel very welcome in this group of people, and I will cherish that memory, So these are all good people. I don't know, should I be listening to what they're saying and just nodding my head and reacting to it? Let's see what they say.
Crucial for the fight, or rather for their team's fight for the quarterfinals. Here are our best of the Rift, brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
T-Mobile.
Here they are: Edward Gaming Scout, Immortals Pobelter, Samsung Galaxy's Ruler, and Power of Evil from Misfits Gaming. First up.
This, Scout right here, he reminds me of my father, when I got home late or when I played, past my bedtime, then it was, this is before it happened. And, yeah, Pobelter is what I tried to come back with, when my father did this. And then it didn't work out for me, Okay. Power Evil, no pose. Come on. That's why this right here is why EU is dying. This right here is why EU is dying. No personality, no pose, no nothing. You know, that's the problem with Europe. Absolutely crazy. But why is Scout this best of the Rift Scout? He does not belong, man. Who made this list? Scout buddy, man, you do insane things in lane phases, insane things mechanically, but you die all the time, brother. You die all the time. Like, he kills people when we want to show, man. Kills that Bramble Vest. And he did this beautiful thing against SKT2, but then they got 5-man ultied, which was quite funny, you know. It was quite hilarious, I would say. POB. I think POB this season, you know, it's been the best season of Pobelter, for sure. He is shining on Immortals, and I feel like he's playing the right champions, and gotta love what their coach brings to the table. It's very evident that all these players are playing better than they've ever had. And this is the rare case when you can actually give a lot of credit to a coach, I would say, and I don't think like Immortals would be here without him. Pobelter has been great. I think his champion pool is also very, very good right now. Ruler is a beautiful man. You know, he has been severely underrated. Samsung's bot lane has been severely underrated, and I think his Varus is amazing, and his AD carry play is absolutely crazy. Like against Fenerbahce, he single-handedly carried the game, and of course he should have because he's level 18 Tristana, but he still delivered big time. And I think Samsung's bot lane is very underrated, and I think there's a lot of people out there that agree with me. So he definitely belongs there. He definitely belongs there. But is he best on the Rift in that group? Nah, I think Uziai's performance has been bonkers, man. Uziai has been, you know, he's been all over the place. I love what Uziai has brought to the table. So actually, I'm just gonna turn on the light. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna adjust the camera to point to the roof.
Step up on stage, starting with a monumental fight between second and third place Immortals and the Gigabyte Marines. From there, Fnatic begin their tough road to the knockout.
I was gonna get water.
Followed by 4 more Group B clashes before we get our first quarterfinalists at the end of the day.
It is going to be a different format today. It's all of Group B playing today. Of course, the following groups in the days after. But after the 6 games, the reason we're starting early.
I'm sorry, Azil, your face is gonna be covered.
Team that has dominated so far in the group stage.
Sure, the question for Longzhu, the best look games dominated their tier work.
They have like super good players in every single position, and then they also like can react quickly to weird decisions like the Mordekaiser play from Gigabyte. Just react.
With the curveballs thrown their way.
Man, look at that! Look at that! Is that a car sponsorship right there? Man, look at that little car on the table in the background. I spotted that shit. Alright, we're live now. Yeah, I want to just catch up with live. We're live? Okay. P.O.B.
Exactly, they have had a couple of days to cook something up, see if they can bring something new to the table, but that's just not going to cut it anymore. Is a random strategy enough for them to take enough games to make it into the quarterfinals? I think not, but a good sign for them is that the last game against Immortals, they showed that they could play a little bit more standard, and if they can refine that play with enough mechanical skill, I think they can actually be good enough to get out.
And I just want to see Levi back on a carry jungler, like this Cho'Gath thing they were doing with the lane swap. It wasn't good enough to win a game. I really want to see, you know, this guy who's so active in the early game when it comes to farm, ganks, everything is like the highest jungle proximity. So he spends almost half his time with his laners making plays happen. Get him on a carry, and I think even in a standard setup, they can actually win games. And then of course, finally,
yeah, for sure. I think over MSI, you could see like Gigabyte Marines. They did play standard. There wasn't like they did the lane swap thing, and then they had like the Galio with the Z, and they did a lot of great things outside of lane phase. So I think this is important to remember.
more tiebreaker
Yeah,
and try and go for it.
realistic. Come on.
If Gigabyte Marines does beat Immortals,
Yeah.
the group gets blown wide open.
All right, game one is going to make this entire day very, very interesting. Don't forget to keep sending us your world's big plays at LOL Esports using that
Oh, it could be actually crazy if Immortals lose all games. Lonzo goes 6-0 and Immortals end at a scoreline of 2-4. Gigabyte Marines have 2-4 as well because they get that one victory, and then of course Fnatic would have to beat both for a triple tiebreaker.
Sunday, Arrow, Liu, like I can say lots of good players, and I think this made like NA stronger, and I think this year is kind of a chance to prove NA is really strong region.
Well, he has a point there, you know. This is the strongest NA has ever been in the world. Is that fair to say? If you maybe season 2 or some shit, maybe do better, I don't know. But I feel well, wait, what was that? Moral just snap in for a second there. Look at that. What a
And Joshua Jat, Leesman, we even got some flowers here for us as well, so it's a quadricast.
Yeah, I can't wait to catch today. We know so much is on the line very early on in this group.
And I think Olay had it right. You know, if you have NA representation, just throw in some Korean representation.
wait, what does Fig just say? We have some flowers with us this time around.
At the starting lineup, we'll start with the blue side team, which is going to be the Immortals from the North American LCS.
Okay. I think we can leave it at that. From the sound, I don't want to, like, if you to check out the cast, then you can do that. We're going to head into analysis here. Immortals versus Gigabyte Marines. This time around we have a blue side game. The last time Gigabyte Marines played Immortals, I feel like Gigabyte Marines had a wonky ass draft. You know, they had the Kane going on for them, which is completely fine. I think Kane is a fine pick for our buddy Levi here. He did some wonderful things, but the rest of the composition just didn't flow together. They had a Ryze and a Cho'Gath, Kog'Maw, Lulu, and I think Kog'Maw Lulu is not that great as people like to think. Has a very low win ratio in this tournament, and I think the priority on Xayah and Janna will go up tenfold. I think Janna and Xayah will be absolutely massive. It's going to be absolutely crazy how it's going to go up in value. I think Janna has proven time and time again that she's absolutely broken. Like she's really broken right now, and a big thing here as well is that Sejuani's win ratio is also terrible. I think we will see on red side Galio is going to come back in favor. I think Galio is going to be played again. He's going to be flex picked on red side, maybe eventually be forced to be banned on blue side. I think Talia will be back in favor, and I think people will change up what they blind pick in top lane here. I think a team like Gigabyte Marines will keep it simple and just pick Cho'Gath, right? Because they can pick jungle later in most cases. Like they can pick Kane in next rotation and don't care, like, and not care about the jungle picks. And with that in mind, it's kind of a clear path of where the meta is changing, in my opinion. I think we will see more Talia, more LeBlanc, more Orianna, more Galio in mid lane. And in top lane, I think we will see more blind pick Maokai. I think we will see a lot of Trundle and Gnar bans on blue side, potentially Jace bans as well. And then I think Maokai is going to be the blind pick that is going to take over in the top lane. Because Cho'Gath as a champion has a lot of weaknesses, and I think it's fair to pick it when you see the entire enemy team composition, and there are cases where Cho'Gath can be absolutely broken. But there are also cases where Cho'Gath is the anchor that weighs your team down. So it brings a lot of liability, and I feel like we've reached a point where people recognize what's going on. So this is, once again, you know, this is live. This is live, 100% live. Wait, I'm going to jump ahead. Now it's 100% live. Galio ban on blue side, I like it. Red side, Gigabyte Marines, they will flex it to last. And I think the beauty of Galio is that he's good into all blind pick top laners that people have been playing at this tournament. So that is a big deal. Sion is banned, also something that Archie plays, I believe. Don't quote me on that. I like the fact that Gigabyte Marines banned Xayah here. It's going to be very interesting to see what the priority on jungle will be. Sejuani comes in as a ban, I don't think is necessary. I think the trade-off with Gragas is also fine, but I think what Gigabyte Marines have shown is that they are more willing to play AD junglers into Gragas. So if Mortals first pick it here, it might be the case. They might just pick it just to hold their cards close to the chest. Because even though you know that Gigabyte Marines is not picking it, You know that Gigabyte Marines is not picking it. You are not revealing anything that you want to play here, unless you want to first pick the Janna and do something in that regard. That is also a possibility, right? So the main thing here with Lulu is that her win ratio is absolutely terrible at this tournament. It's 35%, and in a lot of cases, you know, Janna just wins against Lulu. And even though it's a small sample size, we have about like 50 games at Worlds, you know, it's a small sample size. I think maybe they've been in around 30 each, Lulu and Janna. I still think it matters. Syndra picked up very, very early. I think that's absolutely crazy. There's a lot of picks that you can pick into Syndra, so Immortals is not under any threat here to be forced to pick a champion into Syndra early on. I think Immortals can pick their entire bot lane here, which could be something like Janna Twitch, but that could be a dangerous blind. It could be Janna Kog'Maw, which is fine blind considering Zaya's out of the picture. And they could also hide AD carry till later, but I think that is kind of a danger. So Janna Kog'Maw is going to be the choice. Gigabyte Marines are going to most likely pick their AD here, but whoa. So the main question is, Immortals should ban AD carries. They should aim for AD carry bans. But the main thing with that is that we talked about how top lane needs to use their bans for top lane. So unless Immortals have some juicy blind pick top lane that they can pick that is not a tank, the main thing here is that Gigabyte Marines with Archie, he's not really the type of player that would punish someone. So maybe they could just use their ban for ADs. Maybe they could ban a Twitch here. They could ban Twitch. And what else would people pick into Kog'Maw? Tristana is also open, right? So these bans all make sense. Like Twitch as a ban, and then just against Archie, not care if he gets his counter pick because it's not going to matter anyway. LeBlanc is the only ban for mid lane, and Immortals have a wide range of champions that they can pick into Syndra. I'm expecting Ryze to be picked here because it's quite good into Kayn and it has a fine matchup into the Syndra, and Immortals have enough tools here to already like commit to like the fights with the Gragas, and they have a disengaged composition, and Ryze can do fine in these scenarios. All the long range carries are also out of the picture. I'm very curious to see what Gigabyte Marines are going to cook up here with their champion pick. Maybe we'll see a Jinx. Jinx is something we've seen at this tournament. Ashe seems to be the hover. I think this is an easy Ryze game with Cleanse for Immortals. Ryze game with Cleanse should be a no-brainer choice here against the Syndra, against the Kayn. I feel like it's going to be a very powerful force here in the mid lane. And then Immortals can just round off this composition with, Shen seems to be the blind pick over Cho'Gath. I am a fan of that. I am sincerely a fan of that. I like it a lot more than the Cho'Gath blind because it's open to a lot of counters. Maokai as well, and Shen tends to be a bit stronger in the early lane phase, and he can also pressure the map a lot better. Immortals are now hovering Ryze and Corki. I think either way it could be fine. I'm a bigger fan of Ryze in this special scenario. Corki could use the Shen ultimate potentially better with his package and his W. Whoa! I predicted some picks in this one, but you wouldn't have me predict this Urgot. You wouldn't have me predicting this Urgot. So the beauty of Urgot, right? The beauty, he has no beauty at all. He's an ugly buttload of something. He's Frankenstein. Urgot as a champion, you know, he can build tanky, and I felt like when he built tanky though, he has a lot of problems doing anything. Like his DPS output is really poor. I like the build with Black Cleaver and Frozen Mallet, and I've seen like varied success with Urgot. I'm not completely sold on the champion. It's just another curveball. Like I haven't seen enough to say 100% this is what's going to happen with Urgot. I think against Shen, I think I can't imagine it winning against Shen hard at any point in the game. I think that can be a problem. I don't think it's going to be like, yeah, this is the counter to Shen that you want to pick. This is going to be the pick that pushes Shen into the turret and gives him a hard time. I don't think Urgot is going to be that. But I'm just trying to picture how this lane is going to play out, and I'm sincerely having a hard time doing that. Urgot is not the champion that I'm an expert of, but I can't imagine Urgot punishing Shen hard enough to justify the pick. And of course, the way Urgot works, he has this turret from his spell that is shooting, and if he gets CC'd, it stops. He kind of can explode his legs to kind of have this Graves all attack effect where it does a lot of AoE damage. He has his poison and his seeker, right? And he also has this ultimate that executes people, which at first people thought it would be really, really OP, that you can chain people and pull them to you when they're low enough HP, but it hasn't seen enough success. But I'm hoping that we can see that interaction today. I feel like Urgot is going to have a very hard time against Immortal's composition. I think he's going to get thrown around. He gets outraged by Kog'Maw. He gets out DPS by Ryze. I think in general, Urgot just doesn't have a place in the game right now. And I think that's just, you know, sure, he can buy Mercs and he can maybe do fine. Like, he's going to have to buy a lot of MR in this game. Like, the weakness of Immortal's composition, we didn't talk about it. I don't want to stop talking about Urgot because I feel like I'm not finding any solid ground. Immortal's composition, the weakness is that they have a shit ton of magic damage. A shit ton. So the itemization on Gigabyte Marines is going to be very simple. It's going to be Hex Drinkers, it's going to be MR, it's going to be MR heavy pretty much, like a Banshee's Veil, and it's going to do a lot of good here. They have Kog'Maw as the AD, and Immortals are sincerely like super much lacking AD damage. On the other hand, Gigabyte Marines, you know, Immortals have an easy time buying Ninja Taba here against Gigabyte Marines team composition. Gigabyte Marines with early invade here, and I think Lulu got 2 Raptors, which is a big deal, right? Xmithy is not gonna get level 2 off of his Raptors, but he's just gonna let it go and start his red buff and get a leash from his bot lane. So now the main thing here for Gigabyte Marines is they're going to be first in bot lane. Maybe even what they could have done here is to walk into the bush here and start cheesing. Because if they committed to the cheese, they would have been stronger in the trade because they have Lulu against the Janna. I would have loved them. I would have loved to see a face check into here because I think Ashe level 1 and Lulu level 1 is so OP. And they could have actually denied Immortals bot lane a lot more. I like the fact that Cody Sun is running Cleanse. I think this is something that we've seen very little of in this tournament. We've seen a lot of barrier AD carries, but I think as a summoner it doesn't scale too well. And I think Cleanse scales phenomenally. There's a lot of things to QSS here, but the main thing for Kog'Maw is going to be the Ashe Arrow. And early on, Gigabyte Marines bot lane is going to have pressure. In mid lane, it's going to look quite similar, where Syndra should have pressure in the early stages of the game. Levi is going to look for invades and, of course, try to stack his passive. The beauty, the thing with Kayn, I'm saying the beauty too often, I'm going to have to change up my words a bit. The strong part about Kayn, yeah, that's different. The strong part about Kayn is that when he actually gets his form, he is super OP. Like, as a champion, he's really, really OP. And if Levi for some reason started with his form, then it would have been the most broken champion in the game. But without his form, he's weaker. So let's say he's 70% of a champion right now, and he is 130% of a champion when he actually gets his form. So let's think of it like that, right? But the trade-off is that usually when you are starting in a weaker position and you have something that scales like this, usually you give up too much. So the enemy team, if they're playing against a weaker jungler that is Kayn, the enemy jungler is going to have enough advantage to be stronger than you at the point where you change your form, right? That is like the main issue I have when it comes to Kayn in general. So Pobelter is very low here in the mid lane, very, very low. We need to mention also that the fact that it's an Infernal Drake is a big advantage for Gigabyte Marines. They have the juicy bot lane that can do a lot of damage here, and they can be the one that is pushing in bottom the entire time. Whoa! What happened? Holy moly, Archie! What just happened? You look at him, he's like thinking like I'm a genius. I'm a genius, bro. That is crazy. That is crazy. The main thing here is that he actually falls for this gank. Xmithy did a very standard path where he got leashed on red buff. Levi knew that he's topside as well, the Gragas. And Levi was doing the enemy golems because he knew Xmithy was going topside. So it's bad that Archie fell for this gank, and it's bad that this happened. Pobelter very low. He wouldn't die of an extra auto there, so there was no flash from Optimus. And Pobelter also has flash and heal, right? Levi is going to maybe try to force some summoners here. Oh, Levi, no. Man, I was just talking about how Levi knew he was topside, and then he just goes for this play, and it is really unnecessary, really unnecessary. You know, if he could do something cheeky, okay. If Pobelter wasn't on his side, okay. But trying to dive so far, there was no way you would catch up to him. No physical way for you to catch up to him, and the gamble for you was that Gragas would be in base. But I feel like this play is completely crazy. So of course here he cancelled his recall, and Pobelter is already running to the other side. There is no world where Levi catches up. No world. So why the fuck would you go for this play? Ridiculous. Not happy with this. Levi, the reason I'm heavily criticizing Levi is because he's supposed to be the guy who's going to lift up his team. And this is a massive mistake. I think he also gave a blue buff to Pobelter. Pobelter lost some CS because his base got cancelled. But this is not an easy worth. Archie is doing some trading up top, but Flame is winning. Immortals now with the Gragas coming in here for a gank. It's kind of desperate. Xmidi has nothing to accomplish here. Xmidi just went back topside after basing. Or he didn't even base, he just killed and then went top again. And potentially just, you know, thought that maybe you could get a kill on Urgot. And I think it's a fine risk to take. But Levi is going in to take another golem camp. I'm not too sure if he has time for it. Enemy bot lane is on the turret though, so he does have a lot of time to figure this out. The Raptor camp should spawn in about maybe 20 seconds for the red side team. Shen has ultimate, so it's going to be a danger now for Gigabyte Marines to force fights. The main thing here is that Pobelter did in fact use 2 summoners in mid lane, so maybe Kayn can create something with the help of Syndra. But that is going to be also a big question mark. Like if it's possible with Kayn to gank something. Kayn is just stealing away jungle camps, and that is a fine impact to have too, but you know, Gragas is not going to be super unhappy. Oh, he took my golem, see, you know, it's not going to matter at all. So very strange to me that if your AD is convinced that he needs to go cleanse, and he's playing a champion that has over 700 range, you know, has a lot of attack range, and he's playing bot and he's convinced that he needs cleanse in this game. What the hell are you thinking as a mid laner not running cleanse? It's even worse for Ryze because he's shorter range, right? He's shorter range, and this matters so much. Cleanse would be so important here for Pobelter. And I think this could be a window for Gigabyte Marines where they could potentially get some kills. The main thing here that is going to be the problem is that I feel like Ryze, the lane matchup is going to be cheeky up top, and depending on how well Urgot can do in the matchup, is going to give Shen the potential space to create something without getting punished too heavily. But that is the main question, right? How well is Archie going to do in this matchup? And currently it seems like he's pushing, so it's not doing too bad, right? It's not doing too bad at all. He's pushing. He took some priority here to get with Levi. No flasher on Urgot. I think that's going to be the problem. He's going to get one-shotted, or not potentially one-shotted, but he survived for quite some time. Ult on Flame, 1 for 1 so far. This is a situation that Gigabyte Marines can be happy with. Good cleanse, like the cleanse, but Levi here is very weak. He's going for Pobelter to CCM, but Optimus is going to have E off of cooldown very, very soon. That is what we have to wait for. He's trying to dance around. There's the ball, there's the E. Wow, this is massive for Gigabyte Marines. Massive, massive, massive. Because winning these type of fights, when we talked about how Kayn is going to scale into the game, is such a big, important part of it. So Levi, you know, right now, in the current state of the game, Levi is getting stacked up, he's getting kills, he's super, super happy. And ole, ole, oh, oh, holy craziness. Now this is why Ole was rank 1 support, you know, rank 1 in NA, he was roaming. Good roam here, I couldn't pay attention to where he came from, but it seems like he just came out of base. It seems like the bot lane, looking at their items, it seems like they just came out of base, they just bought some items, and Janna is just, right now we can see at the minimap that she's just walking straight up top, she's seeing this battle, and Copen's not going to lose that much, he's going to be fine, he's not going to lose his turret. The enemy bot lane had base priority, or in fact they didn't have base priority. It seems like Immortals bot lane had base priority, even though they should be, on paper, the weaker bot lane here. But it seems to have worked out perfectly for Immortals. They seem to have gotten some kind of miracle base over bot lane, and they ended up getting the first base, even though they were seemingly under a lot of pressure. So Ashe is going for an interesting build here. We see the Blade of the Ruin King. It's going to be like together with the Fervor, it synergizes very well with the attack speed. And then we're going to see a Hurricane, and then we're going to see all this jazz. There was this period of time where we saw Ashe buying Black Cleaver, Hurricane, Blade of the Ruin King, and I really liked this build because it was a kind of this tank slayer build, and it was at a time where tanks were really OP, and maybe we'll see a comeback of that. But I think with the buff to Infinity Edge that happened shortly after people were buying this, it kind of puts you in a position where you kind of have to buy IE because it's so juicy for you. But potentially, the beauty of the Blade of the Ruin King build is that you can kind of fidget and go into the direction of Mauled Malmortius and not feel too bad about it. You know, it feels strange to have Static Shiv, Hex Drinker, and that is going to be a big bonus here. So I was talking about a bunch of stuff, and I didn't realize that Immortals were taking the top turret. Not top turret, but they were just getting the Rift Herald, and by the looks of it, Xmidi just soloed it straight up. Pobelter ran down bottom in case he could defend the bot tower, but it's a big deal once again that Infernal Drake is the one that is alive and well. The question is now, if Immortals manage to stiff this out, I think contesting it isn't completely out of the question. Shen Ultimate is coming off cooldown, and Gigabyte Marines have a lot of people that are low HP. Xmidi doesn't have the guts to E and not flash because he doesn't have it. So it's good that he didn't have the guts to do that. You know, sometimes, you know, believing in yourself is good, but believing in yourself, you know, you have to do it realistically. You know, like trying to smite when you don't have smite is very unrealistic. Whoa, whoa! Levi gets the kill with the smite. Now this is crazy. So the main thing here is that there was a lack of vision at the river, you know, and you have to recognize that Levi can come from the bottom side, and I feel like Rai is mispositioned here. And once again, a big issue that he's not running Cleanse, because Cleanse would have solved that easily. He got hit by a Syndra stun, which is pretty long range, right? So you can argue that maybe he was playing safe and didn't expect the stun to land, but he doesn't run Cleanse, and that is a big issue. And right now, Gigabyte Marines are in a very good position to take this game away, and I think it's a big issue here that Pobelter doesn't run Cleanse. It's absolutely crazy that he's not running Cleanse in this game, and I think that might be like a big part of why Immortals is going to lose. But here we see the issue. Pobelter's playing bot side. He knew that Gigabyte Marines just took the Drake buff, and he was way too far up his lane. And he gets completely punished. And right now, Syndra is super fed. Levi is also super fed, and Levi is in a position to carry the game right now. Levi recalled, and I would love to see like the progress now on Levi's passive. How many stacks has he got, and how far in it is he? Because that is going to be a massive spike too, and you know, in terms of gold, that is also a lot of value that is not on the scoreboard up top. Alright, so Gigabyte Marines bot lane is continuing to go bot lane. Crazy. You know, imagine being Kog'Maw and then thinking, you know, I'm gonna buy a Wit's End against triple AD. You know, the only AP carry is Syndra, no AP damage, there's no tank on enemy team, so buying Wit's End first, even though DPS wise it's still fine, like cost efficiency wise, DPS wise, Wit's End is fine. I just feel like Rageblade is such a no-brainer thing to go for here. You can't be afraid of Syndra one-shotting if you're playing Kog'Maw with Cleanse, because if that happens, then, you know, you have some bigger issues than your itemization. So I think this is a mistake. I think he should be buying Ginsu's Rageblade. I remember the days in Dota when you bought Ginsu's and you just got a polymorph item and it was absolutely bonkers. You know, imagine if we had something like that in the league, it would be absolutely crazy. So we see Kog'Maw in the mid lane. He's gonna catch an arrow to the face. No, he's gonna pass by. He's going to hit Flame. No, it's not. But Flame is gonna take a lot of damage here. Flash from Flame. Obviously, like, Flame has itemized a lot of armor because he knows that he's playing a lot of against a lot of AD damage. But Archie seems to be doing fine in this lane matchup. I thought like Shen is going to do good into Urgot because Shen likes to buy armor items, but to be honest, after a lot of the nerfs to Sunfire Cape, then there's not a lot of premium armor items that Shen can buy. He went for the Sunfire Cape, and this is a nerfed item, so I misjudged this matchup, and obviously it matters that there's been a lot of fighting up top side and that Levi roamed into it, but Archie did better than I expected. Whoa! Levi has the Shadow Assassin build, and that's why he itemized heavy armor penetration. It's going to be a bit less effective because the enemy team is going to recognize that, you know, in a scenario where he's buying this, it's going to be less effective because his team is filled with a lot of AD champions. So armor as a stat already had a lot of value. Jace, you know, whenever Nukta played Jace mid, he loved the cases where he was like the single AD damage dealer. You know, when we had Kog'Maw on our team or maybe Corki on our team, it was a juicy scenario where the enemy team doesn't want to itemize armor, and you have this armor penetration build that does a lot of damage. Of course, you know, if you have Shadow Assassin, I still believe that even though you have full AD team or whatever, itemizing like this is still the best option you can go for. So as we proceed now, like the main thing here is that Immortals bot lane have a big advantage that they have the cleanse. Usually Ashe is outscaled by most ADs post 6, in trading. Like if you played against Kate, the strength Ashe had and brought to the table is the fact that she can ult and commit on you and engage on you. But as long as Kog'Maw is standing in the front line, the cleanse is going to do a lot of beautiful things. So to speak to the setup of Immortals, they're very happy with having Janna and Kog'Maw in the mid lane. The main question here is, will Ryze beat the person he plays against in the side lane? Most likely, because he has Shen ultimate, and that is what we have to pay attention to. I think if anything, you know, Syndra is now matching the Ryze on bottom, and I think it works. I think it works completely fine because Ryze has no cleanse, and I think it can be a target for the Levi ganks that might come. Xmiri is trying to create something desperate, but Archie is playing very impressively here. I think in previous games I always had him as a weakness for the team because he was always playing wonky and always was the sacrificial lamb, and people seem to be okay with it. He seemed to be okay with it, and all things considered, I think this is so far a stellar performance. And I think, you know, I'm excited to see what more Urgot brings to the table. I'm assuming he's going to go for the Frozen Mallet now because that is the build that I've seen in other places. There's been Stir Gauge also on the table, and I think, you know, the itemization for Urgot is a bit strange. I love the Mercury threads here. It's very good. The arrow comes down. Let's see if he hits the no cleanse blue avatar man. I hope he gets hit by every arrow. That's what he deserves for not running cleanse in this game. I hope he gets 10 arrows to the face. Very low mid tower. I didn't know this from before. I didn't notice either where Xmiri actually uses Rift Herald, so that's a big deal. You know, I'm trying something in this game where I'm doing everything real time and I'm trying to squeeze in as much information as possible, you know, as a practice for myself. I'm just going to try to do something different to keep it interesting for myself. This is like my way of casting the game. So I'm assuming Xmiri used the Rift Herald in mid, and that's why it was so low. Optimus had pushed mid lane most of the game, so I'm imagining that it was the Rift Herald that did a lot of damage to it, and Immortals just went in there to pick it up, together with the priority that they have from before. So now there's a big issue here that Levi is out of position. Ryze ultimate comes in. Levi is really deep, but the slow from the W manages to put him out of the situation. The main thing, the main issue I feel like I have is that while I'm explaining something, I kind of I tend to run away with it sometimes, and I miss some things that are happening on the screen while I'm explaining it, and I think that's something that I can improve on, and I'm going to think about it coming into the next matches. So I was talking about how he has his poison and all this crap, and he has his grenade, right? And I'm not too sure how it works on Urgot, and then he has like this short dash into singed flip, kind of strange ability that Urgot has, but you know, it's alright, it's alright. Main thing in here now for Immortals is that they don't have a Shen ultimate, and they have a lot of side lane control. Gigabyte Marines, sure, they're in a position where they have more gold, but how do they deal with the situation with Ryze being very good on side and Kog'Maw and Janna having priority over Ashe and Lulu because of the cleanse. How do Immortals, like how does Gigabyte Marines solve this issue? So the main thing is that Levi needs to create something. Maybe they need to gank Flame, but even in that case, it is very suboptimal for them because this Shen is buying full armor. He's buying full armor, and it's very hard for both Kayn and Urgot to actually kill him. See a finished Drektar's whatever blade. Levi is trying to go for POB here, but I think Ryze is one of the champions that does better into Kayn than a lot of other mid laners because he can root him down and dish out a lot of damage, and at the same time walk away with Storm Raiders and then tag in again to trade with him. So I think Ryze definitely matches up well against Kayn. But I feel like this is one of the only options that Gigabyte Marines have, and that is to force a 2v2 situation while Shen Ultimate is off cooldown. But the moment Shen Ult comes back, this is going to be also a very difficult situation for them. So this is comes very close. Pobelter is very low, and it's crazy. You know, to be honest, to be fair, you know, even in a scenario where Shen would ult here, Pobelter would also die. So that is important to remember. The main thing here is that they took the risk. Maybe they spotted Xmidi on this ward, and that is why they committed to the bottom play. But right now, Immortals are losing their entire base. Oh! Archie goes 1 for 1. This is absolutely crazy. Gigabyte Marines. Gigabyte Marines. They're getting 2 turrets and inhib. They're getting the inhib right here. They're gonna get it. There's no risk. They can just take it. They can just take it and then just walk away. Whoa. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. It's going to cut. It's going to be very, very close here. Inhib survives with a sliver of health. Whoa, I was 100% certain that they could just take the bottom inhib. Maybe they could have thrown in an extra auto. Maybe something went wrong there. It was very, very close though. I was 100% certain that that thing is going to fall. The Baron is going to come online, so we're going to see Urgot going to bot lane and Syndic's going to go up top. And then they're going to try to keep ganking this Ryze. But the main difference here is I feel like Xmidi ganking top at this time was a bad decision. I think he should have supported bottom, and they should have played around the fact that Shen Ultimate was coming off cooldown. And with that in mind, you know, Urgot would do his thing up top and they could just ignore him. And then they could have just put themselves in a scenario where they would outman the enemy 2v2 situation down bottom, and Archie would have to TP. There would be a 3v3 scenario that I think Immortals would be stronger in. I sincerely believe that Immortals would be stronger in that scenario with a Shen Ultimate, but Xmidi is now top lane. They did in fact not know where Gragas was at this time. He was just in base and he just walked out on lane. There could have been a scenario where Gragas was down bottom and Shen Ultimate would just come in. So I feel like this is a strange situation to be in for Immortals. I feel like Immortals could have forced a 3v3 situation down bottom with the Shen Ultimate as an advantage over the fact that Archie wouldn't be able to TP in instantly. But Archie gets away from this with a 1 for 1, and Immortals gets 2 towers. They almost get the inhib and they get a kill on bottom. So I'm assuming this is going to be a situation that continues for Immortals, where they send the Ryze into the side lane. He's going to struggle in the situation where he's against Syndra, and Levi can come in there for the gank, and Lulu and Ashe will just stay in mid lane and do the thing. But right now, like looking at the 1v1, it seems like they're not touching each other at all. Forcing Nashor for Gigabyte Marines isn't like the easiest thing for them to do because they don't have any dedicated tank. It's hard for them to stand there and just let Baron dish out the damage. So whenever Xmidi tries to accomplish something bottom, it's not like Gigabyte Marines can just snap their fingers and just go for Nashor. It can always be a danger. But Gigabyte Marines are maintaining control now, and the fact that Urgot is pushing so far up bottom is going to be an issue. The question is if he can just walk into the inhib and ignore Shen and just take that inhibitor tower. He would have been able to if Levi was playing something else than Kayn, but he is in fact playing Kayn, which makes it harder for Gigabyte Marines to just force Nash straight up 3v4. So as we proceed to give you what you need, we have to talk about Ryze once again with his lack of cleanse. Immortals are just starting Nash. What the whoa. What is this decision based off of, man? Are they just gambling that Gigabyte Marines were in base? Sure, Ashe was, but whoa, what was that? That had to be some serious miscommunication, because some people were punching wards and some people were punching Baron, and that ended very close. That could have costed them the game. Like, imagine if there was a scenario right now where Kog'Maw just died there, and all of a sudden everything gets flipped on its tail. Like, well, Kog'Maw was so low that he wasn't, like, he's in theory dead for some time. He lifesteals back up with the ardent sensor. Whoa, whoa, whoa! This is crazy. Levi flashes, but I think he kind of whiffed a bit. Can he chase Ole here? Ole has a lot of like movement speed to work with here, but the ult range of Shadow Assassin is so long. At the same time, we had some heavy trading down bottom. The main thing is that Archie was winning the trades, but Flame went back and healed up. And with the fact that Pobelter is dead and Janna is dead, you know, this is looking like a grim situation for Immortals. Immortals are looking very lost in this game. Very, very lost. And that's an Asher. Gigabyte Marines are in heavy state here to win the game. Cody Sun has nothing to provide here. No way is just lifestealing back up on the crab. Let's reassess this situation, because this was absolutely crazy. I'm assuming LoL Esports is going to give us a replay on that one, but the first things first, you know, the way Immortals just started Nasher, that seemed like a massive miscommunication. They tried to do it. We saw Archie winning some trades down bottom, but the main thing here is that Shen can always walk back and then heal up, which is an issue, right, for Archie. Of course, he doesn't want the enemy Shen to heal up, and when he commits to these situations and then doesn't manage to get anything, then, you know, he needs to back off, because we saw Archie being very low on HP. And then we saw the entire situations where Immortals had to lifesteal on the wave, and then Immortals were heavily out of position to try to contest the situation. They just couldn't. They just couldn't contest the situation because they were so out of position. And then Gigabyte Marines have maintained a lot of vision control, because Xmidi was showing bottom twice at two separate occasions where they tried to do something to Archie, and during this time Gigabyte Marines got a lot of vision control. And fighting in this area right here, fighting in this area, in any jungle, this is like a dream for Kayn. This is Kayn City. You can see the minimap, I just painted it. He can go through walls, he can do a lot of things, especially Shadow Assassin. Loves to poke with the W, slow people down, and then all of a sudden this chain CC falls, and Syndra and Ashe can easily follow up, which evidently happened. Pobelter died instantly because he doesn't have the fucking cleanse, which is a big issue. I think this is like a game-losing thing that he doesn't have cleanse. And right now, like, what is stopping Gigabyte Marines from winning this game? Like, Syndra's level 17 to Pobelter's level 14. Archie's in a good state. You know, he's building Warmog's armor and Righteous Glory. You know, this Ergo pick is definitely working out, and Kayn is in a position to carry the game. Ashe has a very strong core as well, and there was a lot of red flags here for me. You know, the Witsend buy on Kog'Maw, this Baron play from Immortals, Pobelter with no cleanse, and in general I feel like there was a lot of slip-ups from Immortals, but at the same time I feel like Gigabyte Marines are stepping up their game big time. You know, Archie is playing the best game I've ever seen him play individually, where he hasn't been like some sacrificial lamb. He's actually playing his champion and causing a lot of pressure for his team, and Levi is having the game of his life, and I feel like Optimus has had full control over mid lane because of this lack of cleanse. Levi has been pressuring the entire map, and I feel like Xmidi has always been a step behind, and he's tried some very desperate things. We saw some very obvious ganks in top lane. Very lucky that Archie survived, but in general right now, I feel like Immortals have sincerely been outplayed with no special strategy, just the plain old Gigabyte Marines playing a carry on top lane. Syndra is now CC'd. Crazy how the Gragas ultimate stopped the Janna. Like the Gragas ultimate could have knocked Syndra into the mix, but the Janna Q stopped the knock away animation that happened. Xmidi is now out of position, gonna get saved by the Shen ultimate and the redemption. Immortals now are in a circle, and you can see that Gigabyte Marines are circling around Immortals and trying to get around. Of course, this is Shadow Assassin Kayn. He's not gonna gain any HP back, but Archie with the finishing touch here on Flame. No armor is gonna save him from that, because Archie's ultimate is true damage, and Gigabyte Marines are starting off the day. Holy moly, this is so massive. It's so crazy. Well, the game is not over yet. Like, Gigabyte Marines have very low HP here and very low numbers, and they will in fact have to base, but triple inhibitor down. it has to be Doom, right? This is Doom. You know, if this is some ancient language, you know, this is some ancient language. This is chimpanzees communicate like this. This is how you spell Doom in any language. You know, this is not just international in Homo sapiens. This is in every species. The game is doomed. You know, 3 inhibs down. Immortals have a massive goal deficit, and I just want to keep talking about what went wrong in this game, because Gigabyte Marines, holy moly, holy Jesus, you know, this is this is crazy. This is crazy. You know, the implication this has is that it's actually a dream that is possible now for Fnatic to create a scenario where they are in fact tied for the second place, where every team might end up 2-4 if Fnatic actually pull it out of their ass to win against Gigabyte Marines and Immortals. So this is a big thing here for Fnatic, that Gigabyte Marines actually take this game away. Smitty's looking now for something desperate. His team is very far behind him. Hits the knock-up on the Lulu. I'm happy that he went flash this game, but sadly it's not up. Wow, this, you know, at 6 AM over here in Europe, but this is filling me up with energy. This is crazy, man. Crazy game. I can't believe it, man. I can't freaking believe it. Absolutely bonkers, dude. Although Inhib is falling, Urgot's in the mix, he's hitting it. Levi, this is really desperate. This can end really horrible. Urgot is so tanky though. Maybe you can just pull up the Expeke. Expeke! Expeke! What are you doing, Archie? It's alright, it's alright. His team is winning the fight, so it's not really that big of a risk. Gigabyte Marines! Gigabyte Marines! Holy moly, they're not even happy, man. Look at him, he's chilling now. There's a smile. There's a smile coming in. Well-deserved stuff. Well-deserved stuff. This was beautiful. This was great from Gigabyte Marines. You know, they showed a lot of kind of, you know, a lot of new stuff, you know, in the sense that Archie actually had a good game where he created pressure by himself. Levi got ahead on that Kane pick that snowballs very well. They won the early skirmishes. The lack of cleanse on Pobelter, a big issue. The lack of, you know, preparation and playing around the Shen was also a big problem. Shen Ultimate wasn't used at all in this game. And I felt like Xmidi could have coordinated better. I am disappointed in some of the strategic choices of Immortals with the lack of cleanse and the Witsend buy on Kog'Maw. And I feel like Immortals could have done better from this perspective, and they could have also played better individually, because I feel like Xmidi did a lot of desperate ganks, very telegraphed ganks where he walked through lanes and just walked in there through a barrel like Donkey Kong, you know, and accomplished nothing. And Kane was taking his jungle camps and winning those fights. And at the same time, Optimus had full pressure in mid, no usage of Shen Ultimate. I feel like Xmidi could have coordinated that better with Ryze, because when I see a Ryze paired up with a Shen, I just feel like the situation should be heavily in favor of the Ryze if Xmidi actually plays around it at the right time, and that just didn't happen. We had this one situation where Shen used Ultimate, where Kane got away, which was very clutch, right? It was a situation where Kane got away, there was this gank in the red buff jungle, and all of a sudden, with the Shen ult off cooldown, they started pressuring the Ryze in the 2v2, and I thought the main thing that Immortals was waiting for was this crazy Shen Ultimate combo that they could maybe get pressure with. But then eventually, you know, it didn't happen, and Gigabyte Marines got this massive gold swing where they got 2 towers, 2 kills, almost got the inhib, and you know, Gigabyte Marines just capitalized on it. And then all of a sudden we had the situation where Xmidi just tried these desperate things through lane bottom, accomplishing absolutely nothing. And the continued situation here where during this time Gigabyte Marines just took complete vision topside. They wanted to continue playing their game, punishing Ryze, but Ryze didn't have the guts to even go top lane. And all of a sudden we had the situation where Xmidi was showing up at the wrong place at the wrong time, and this thing that Immortals did when they walked to Nashor and just started hitting it, and Cody Sun lost both his cleanse, his flash, and he lost a lot of health. Immortals were completely split up, and all of a sudden they got caught. Gigabyte Marines got the Nasher, and that sealed the game. Very interesting draft from Gigabyte Marines. I am surprised that it worked out, but you know, if you are the one making the plays, if you're the one that making sure that things are happening in the game, the comp doesn't make that big of a difference. You know, they had tools to get pressure on side lane, which they use with the Kayn, and all of a sudden you don't need all these fancy things to win a game. You just need to create situations for yourself where you can pressure the enemy team, and that's what they did. Urgot had a good time in this game and kept pressuring, and I felt like Ashe, you know, didn't fulfill that big of a role in mid lane. She was just firing hawk shots. This scenario was quite clutch, you know. Xmidi, you know, Archie survived for a very long time, and that means so much. Flame finally with the 1-for-1. Optimus was playing this scenario very well. Imagine if he just gets hit by this Q, all of a sudden it changes the situation completely, and Pobelter doesn't proc the rune at all once against Optimus, and right now we see Optimus spells coming off of cooldown, and then after this Pobelter with the lack of cleanse got picked up by a bunch of kills, and then he flashes, and Levi flashes with him and uses the ult, and then the blue smite. Pobelter once again here with no cleanse, he just got killed over and over again, and you know, in a situation where he has cleanse, the snowball doesn't begin, and he could have also played a lot of these scenarios better, because the last gank there, the Shen ultimate was coming off cooldown. Xmidi was also on the wrong side of the map. The gank he died in mid lane was also a scenario where Gigabyte Marines just picked up the Infernal Drake. He knows exactly where Kayn is, and he played to the bottom side and also got caught in a gank. And then the scenario where the 2v2 happened top and Optimus managed to rack up 2 assists, that also matters, and Gigabyte Marines just won the clashes, won the engages, and won the battles. And you know, eventually if you win the battles, if you only win all the battles, you're going to also win the war. And that happened this time around for Gigabyte Marines. I am excited for the rest of this group. This was absolutely insane. I'll see you guys in the next game, alright? Take care. Peace.